Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Café New Canadians. I'm Gerard Kalajian. Café New Canadians is a virtual chat series, and tonight we will celebrate Black History Month with Achievers. Café New Canadians is brought to you by New Canadians, which is a TV show and web series broadcast on Omni Television across Canada. You can also access the content on our website, newcanadians.tv, and or on our YouTube channel, where this session is being live streamed. Café New Canadians tonight's session is sponsored by Destination Employment, which is a program that helps newcomers to Canada gain meaningful employment in Canadian hotels and the tourism sector. Participants in the program get free training and many mentoring opportunities. If you're interested in the program, or if you know other newcomers, immigrants who might be interested in the program, please do let them know, and they can get more information and register in the program on the website destinationemployment.ca. As I mentioned, tonight's topic is celebrating Black History Month with Achievers, and we have three amazing Achievers with us. Charles Osuji, Managing Partner and CEO, Osuji and Smith Lawyers. Eno Eka, Business Analysis Coach at My BA Career, and Peter Ryway, CEO of High Life Beverages. Moderating tonight's session and talking with these three amazing guests will be my dear friend from Calgary, Dapo Van Kole, who's the founder and chief visionary officer of Immigrant Life Media and the host of Immigrant Life podcast. Hello, Dapo.
Thank you, Gerard. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for being tonight's moderator, and we're honored to have you on the series, actually. And I'll hand it over to you, Dapo, for an amazing discussion.
Thank you very much. So, good evening, viewers. Good evening, everyone. As Gerard rightly said, tonight's session is focused on celebrating Black History Month. But beyond that, we also decided to have a nice conversation with three amazing personalities that we see as achievers in Canada here, of course. So we're going to start. We have Eno, we have Charles, and of course we have Peter. So starting out this evening, of course, you know the importance of, we want to start about talking about the importance of Black History Month. We want to go a little bit into why we're celebrating that. Is it even worth it at all? What exactly are we celebrating? And we definitely also want to put a spotlight on what these three amazing personalities have achieved in their time here in Canada. And we will ask them a couple questions, and then, yeah, we will also throw things open, and you guys, you can always ask your questions, and we'll do our very best to answer those questions. So, but before we get started on Black history and all that, I would like us to have a quick roundtable, and I want you to meet our guests. So I think I'm going to start here this evening with Peter. And my question to you, Peter. Peter, welcome to this evening's show.
Hi, Dapo. Thank you for introducing me, and I'm happy to be here with you guys tonight. And hopefully, I I keep up to expectation. Right, I will do my best to answer your question. Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. There are actually no no peculiar expectations. We just want to we want to bring you into focus so that people can know more about you and get inspired about through what you've done as a person. So my first question to you really will be for you to tell us about yourself. Who is Peter, by the way? And what brought you to Canada? When did you come to Canada? How have things been? Just a quick highlight, just high level, talk about, let people know who you are as a person. Thank you.
All right, and then so the first person will be the shock absorber. So I will be taking the hit for. So we see where I flop. Then you guys hopefully you guys do better than me. So the first question you asked was the question you asked is, who am I? That is a big question though, because we are in the human being goes through a process of evolution or, say a process of becoming, right? From one stage to another. So I can't really tell you that I've reached a destination in life yet, but at least I'm in a journey. So I'll give my best. So my name is Peter Riley. The name on the site was Peter Austin. Austin is my middle name, but my last name is Riley. So I am Nigerian by nationality, but Canadian by citizenship. So I moved down from Nigeria to Malaysia in 2011, just for studies. Because if anyone knows Nigeria, we love to travel a lot and acquire knowledge and read. Reading is all we do. So after that, I wasn't too satisfied with what Malaysia has to offer me. So I put in an application because I was doing well at school and I was able to get selected for transfer from Malaysia to Canada. So I came down to Canada in 2011. I went to Malaysia in 2008, came down to Canada in 2011. I went to the wrong city, the first mistake I made. So I went to Winnipeg. We call it Winterpeg. A guy from a very tropical region to a very cold winter freezing region. So thank God I survived. So it was a very, very serious experience. But after that, I knew, okay, I think I need to move. So I spent 5 years there and I moved down to Toronto, where I've been here now for 2-3 years now. And then when I came down here, I did a couple of jobs in and there, and I noticed that I wasn't really getting the kind of freedom I want. And then I decided, you know what, it's high time I started my own business. So I started my business in 2019. It's called High Life Beverages. So what we do is we make non-alcoholic beverage juice. And then I was inspired by the fact growing up in Nigeria is something that mom and dad used to make, because we are family-oriented people back home. So we grew up with a drink. In Nigeria, they call it Zobo. So it's a drink that transcends all countries, all cultural background. And so it wasn't a problem me introducing the drink to Canada. It's just that I noticed the white counterpart, the white folks here are not so familiar with it. So I was able to start with almost $0. So $0 means when you started with capital that is, just absolutely nothing, And I was able to start, and then I was surprised that my products, my business was well received by Canadians. And then we move on to expanding gradually from restaurants to now convenience stores. And we're thinking of going to the big malls now, which is the Loblaws and the rest of them. Dialogue has been in process that, okay, they're going to get back to us, which sounds very promising. We're keeping our fingers crossed. So then the business is doing well. I took some training also. In case you guys are not familiar, there's an organization called Access Community Capital Fund. It's very good for small businesses. If you can't get a loan, maybe you have a bad credit like me, so you can apply there and they can help you, and they can also link you up with other facilities that you might not be aware of. So that is just my story in a nutshell. I won't call it a nutshell, but this is too long. So, well, I'm here now, and then hopefully you can ask me any question and I'll give you the answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peter. Definitely. I am personally impressed. I mean, I think what you just said, you simply just confirmed that you deserve to be in the room.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for that. We're coming back to some other questions for sure. I'll move to you, Eno. Thank you for joining us, of course, as well. So let's meet you. You're somebody that I have followed, and I know I have a lawyer in the room, so I'll be very careful with the kind of words that I use so that I don't get charges pressed against me. But anyway, I followed you and I've seen a lot about you. But for the sake of our audience, I'd like you to just, again, very briefly, 2 minutes, just when did you come to Canada? How's the journey been? What do you do now? And what's your experience so far? The good, the bad, the ugly, what would you say?
Thank you for having me here, Dapo. Amazing panelists here. Happy to be here. I moved to Canada in 2018. My name is Eno Eka. Moved here from Lagos, Nigeria. Born and bred in Surulere, Lagos, Nigeria. Moved to Canada in 2018 with a hope and a dream. Always wanted to live in Canada for some reason. When I was about 18, I stumbled across Canada and Canada immigration. I just loved how the country was an immigrant-driven country. And I loved the people. I used to do a lot of research. My goal was to move here after my first degree, but I didn't get a scholarship as I wanted to come and do a master's degree. And I let it sleep. And I just like, okay, whatever, if it's meant to happen, it will, but I want to live in this place. And fast forward to 5 years ago, I started the process to immigrate to Canada. And in 1 month, I got my permanent residency visa and it was real. And I moved here, but not knowing anybody, not having any family here. I just wanted to come here and see how life would be and, try it out. And moving to Canada has been one of the best decisions in my life. Met amazing people, been able to sort of live the dream that I wanted, achieve the goals that I wanted. But it wasn't all very rosy. It definitely hasn't been all rosy because as a new immigrant, you face challenges when you first move here, especially with no family, no friends, not knowing, what's going to hold, moving from certainty to uncertainty. At least I had a good job, based on Nigerian standards. And it was almost like, I was doing something very crazy, leaving a good job and, moving across the world with no family or anything like that. And I did have my challenges. When I arrived Canada, I lost my bags, moving to Canada, and it just seemed like, okay, my flight to Canada, we had to turn back at some point, and then we were, they kept us in the hotel. We came the next day. It was just so many things. I'm like, is this really meant to happen? But the amazing thing is that the people that I've met here have made Canada worth it. I've met people who have been able to guide me, coach me, mentor me along my journey. What I do now is I'm the CEO and founder of my own company. It's called Any Consulting here in Alberta. And because of the work that we do with business analysis and project management, consulting and coaching, we're now serving clients in 13 countries in just 2 years of operations. And that is what Canada has done for me. It's given me the ability to help people around the world. Why I started what I do was to help immigrants because I had my own struggles. And when I moved to Canada, I met people who also were immigrants from other countries, but also had those struggles with integrating into the society. So they get their PRs, they move here, but they're unable to get back into those kind of roles that we're working in as managers, as senior executives. You find them doing factory jobs, you find them doing call center jobs. And when I moved here, I was able to get a job in the first 2 weeks of moving to Canada. And word, went out that I did it, and I started coaching and helping people along the way. And then, of course, as I was growing and learning the things that were helping me to move so fast in my journey, because in my first 6 months in Canada, I was able to get a 6-figure job. And I was telling people, guys, we can do this. If I could do it, you've been here at 2 years. Let me show you how to do it. And that's really how it started. And it's been a movement because it's now gone beyond Canada to other countries in the world where we're helping people do the same, because there are also immigrants in other countries, not just Canada. And, that's what I do. In a nutshell, that's what I do. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to, live this life and this dream. I'm happy that there is a month set aside to celebrate Black people. But I want to say that Black people make history every day. There's a long list of achievers that I know that are making history every day, and I'm proud to be Black in Canada. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Eno. That was beautiful. I can see from your story that you are one of a kind. I mean, you applied for Canadian immigration and you got your PR in 1 month. Come on, you don't want to hear my story. I applied 2007. They canceled it. Let's forget that. This is not about me. So that's and then you came in the first month, you got a good job, and in 6 months, you got a 6-figure. Like, really, I'm not jealous, but let's leave that for now.
Started my company in 8 months in Canada. So just saying.
No, this is really good. And again, this also underscores why we want to showcase you and let people know about you. And the fact is, if you can do it, if Peter can do it, if Charles can do it, what's stopping any other person, right? So that's really good. Thank you very much. So I'll move over to you, Charles.
Hi, everyone.
How are you, sir?
Hi.
Good.
Thanks for joining. And of course, I want to put a big spotlight on yourself as well. What brought you to Canada? When did you arrive, and why Canada of all places? Why didn't you choose the US? Why not Sweden? Why not Australia? Why this cold place? You know, if you love cold, why not Siberia? You know, so and how have things been? So,
you know, the temperature only looks good on TV, right? when you see the snow, the white stuff, and you see all those movies, you want to go. Anyhow, I came here in 2011, and just like Peter, I was wondering whether we're on the same plane when we came, but that was my year of landing, 2011. And I was fortunate that I already had some family here at the time I came. So I had my big brothers. I also have a sister, some uncles. So there's some support group, also some support system when I landed in Canada. Before then, I was really a lawyer in Nigeria. I practiced for 6 months, long enough to know that my plan was not to practice in Nigeria. So coming to Canada or Calgary specifically, was a no-brainer because of family here. But not to take away from what Ena said about, moving from certainty to uncertainty, regardless of how many sisters or brothers or siblings you have, that discomfort is always there, right? Because you're more or less leaving everything that you've known, everything that was comfortable, everything that was familiar, from your classmates, from family and friends, from a familiar system to an unknown place where, number one, you have to make sure that people understood what you're saying. You have to more or less reinvent yourself, right? More so for a professional like me, I needed to be acquainted with the legal system in Canada. That means I needed to challenge the qualifying examinations, right? But before then, the first thing was to survive. You have to find a place to stay. Back in Nigeria, you can stay with your brother for 2-3 years and nobody's complaining. But here, if you stay longer than a few months, you overstay your welcome. So I had the struggle to find a place for myself, challenge myself, explore all kinds of survival jobs. I did everything, the 3 shifts, day, night, and evening. Sometimes I was sleeping 2-3 times a week. That story is there. So I did all of that, but I had my focus on what my goals were. One of my goals was to be a lawyer here, right? So I challenged the exams. I was fortunate to, get that over with, and then I joined the firm that I own now as a student. That was in 2013. Became a lawyer here in 2014, and then took over the practice about 2 years later. Here I am. I've taken over the role of an employer, mentor, and a community builder. I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Dabo.
Thank you, Charles. Your story is another very inspiring one. You know what's common about the 3 of you here this evening is the fact that the 3 of you actually own your own business. You run your own business. But we'll get to that. That tells me something or suggests something to me, but let's leave that. Let's park that for now. But, your story as well, very, very impressive. I mean, you went as a student into an organization and then you ended up owning the place. I'm like, for real?
Be careful with these Nigerians.
That you scare me because I feel like I don't want to invite you to my house. Otherwise, you just take over my house. So, but that's impressive. So again, thank you for coming tonight. This is really good. So being that you are the last person that speaking, I think I'm going to ask you the next question first.
There's a
Charles,
consequence.
if you don't mind. Yeah, there's a consequence for that. When you take over businesses, that's what happens. We reward you. Let's move on to Black history. Okay. The three of you are here. Of course, you are Blacks. I'm Black. Incidentally, we're all Nigerians. And by all means, this was a total coincidence. It wasn't planned, but it turned out to be. So talking about Black History Month, what exactly is Black History Month? Why do you think we should be celebrating Black History Month?
Well, again, I'm going to revert back to what Eno said, that Black History Month, there should be celebration of Black achievements every day, right? But formally, we've carved out this particular month where we should all be intentional about the achievements of Black people, what Black people have done. You know, they call Canada an immigrant society. What I mean is the country itself is built and continues to run on the heels of immigrants, right? And we cannot, lose sight of all the contributions, achievements, and everything that Black people have done and brought to the country. And when you look around you, you get the negative vibe once in a while, the bad rap, so to speak, about Black people, right? But if you don't tell your story, nobody will. Right? And it's important that you tell your own story. So amidst all of the negative publicity and campaign, it's important that we take stock and be mindful and recollect and be intentional about some of these achievements. Many people that have come before us have achieved, and the people that are still with us. And it's also important to, be grateful for the people that came before us and opened the doors and created opportunities for us. Black History Month mustn't necessarily be about historical figures. It's also about my oldest brother that came here in the 2000s and came with his family, created a world for himself, and created an opportunity for me. It's also about my siblings that housed me when I came to this country for 2-3 months. It's also about, colleagues and people of color that are contributing on a daily basis to the growth of this society.
Thank you, Charles. So, from what you've said, you're telling me, I think, two very important things, which is the fact that, yes, this is an acknowledgement of the contributions of Blacks from the past. And as well, it's also a big opportunity to show the contributions of, Blacks living and around, and everyday people of color, what they do every day. So it's not just people who create vaccines or people who take over businesses or people who get 7-figure income in 5 days after arrival that we should be celebrating. You're saying that we should be celebrating people who do just random acts of kindness on a daily basis. We need to celebrate them. So that takes me to a question that comes to mind now. And I'll direct this to you. If we say we should be celebrating Blacks, right, and we dedicate a whole month, why are we not having White History Month?
Well, the truth is, like I said before, Black people do amazing things wherever we go. We're seen as a minority, and that's the reason why there has been a consensus to have this, formal celebration every month. And that's because a lot of the things that we do are sort of downplayed, right? We don't have that representation that we should have. And that's why when you see Black people around the world celebrating a woman, a Black woman, a woman who has, Black genes becoming the vice president of the United States, someone in Kenya, someone in Sudan, someone in Jamaica, someone in Nigeria is happy, right? And that's just because we don't get to see people who look like us, who speak like us, right? We don't get to see that. And that's just the truth. We grew up to watching cartoons, written by white people. It was the white style of family. We saw white movies, white sitcoms, white dramas, in school. Everything we're following was basically what we were taught, right? We're all from Nigeria. Everything that we do, from our anthem to our law to our educational curriculum, everything follows the British standard, right? We're taught about the Union Jack and all the generals we had before we gained independence in 1960 in Nigeria. Everything that we do is based upon the precedents of the British that colonized us. And that's how it is in a lot of other African countries, right? So everything that we've done have been things that a white man told us to do. However, at this time, we're saying, hey, we want to speak for ourselves. We want to sit at the table. If you don't give us a seat, we will create a table for ourselves and we will celebrate ourselves because we're doing the thing, right? We're doing these things, we're achieving these things, we're doing these things that we thought we would never be able to achieve or accomplish because we were taught that we should follow this, these principles and all these things, precedences that were passed on to us. But we're saying, hey, we would like to rewrite our story, rewrite the culture, rewrite the history books and say, hey, there are Black people who are doing just as amazing, and a Black man or a Black woman can do the same, if not better, than someone else who, is white, right? So, for me, it's been long coming. It's been long coming because we've celebrated a lot of, white history. We've had to follow what the white people have taught us and our grandparents and great-grandparents passed down to us. But I think now it's time to change things. And I'm so happy that there are women like Kamala Harris, women like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala that make a Black girl, see that it is possible for me to be Director General of WTO. It is possible for me to be a president or a vice president. It's possible for me to own a company, to do anything I want to do. So, that's why we should have Black History Month. That's why we should be telling our stories. We don't have to wait for someone to celebrate us. We should celebrate ourselves at any time. And that's why whenever I see a Black man or a Black woman from wherever they are, and they achieve something, I want to celebrate them, put them up everywhere and say, hey, congratulations, you're doing the thing and you're representing us very well.
Wow, thank you so much. So what I seem to get from what you've said is the fact that there is really no need to earmark a particular month in celebration of white history, whatever that means. Because according to you, again, this is what I get from what you said, whites have been celebrated every day.
Yeah.
Whites' achievements. It's just waking up literally is a celebration of white. While there's nothing wrong with that, it seems to me that we are saying, you know what, let's celebrate ourselves. Let's put a spotlight on ourselves and let's showcase the fact that we are also around, we are here. And while that is also very good and we love it and we appreciate the fact that February is the month that's been earmarked for this celebration. Peter, coming to you, do you think just choosing 1 month out of 12 is enough to celebrate Blacks, in Canada? Or how else do you think we should do it? What else?
You see, there's a saying that goes that half bread is better than none. For those of us that grew up in Nigeria, but along the way, you get to realize that even having half bread might not still be enough. So you who have half bread is still almost not too better than someone who doesn't even have any. But at least, you understand, that at least you have something, So when one thing about us Black people is that we should know that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. You understand? There was a time where Black History Month was perceived as I won't say a crime, but something close to criminal. You understand? it's being perceived as a rebellious kind of celebration. You understand? So if we are celebrating it once in a year, I think it is worth that. You understand? At least we know that, okay, we recognize this day as a day of celebration. Now, what are we going to do from now on? You understand? It's just a step towards something bigger. You understand? It's not like we're saying that it shouldn't be celebrated all the time. You understand? For example, Christmas is being celebrated once in a year, and it leaves a remarkable memory in our minds. You know, most of the celebrations it's not being celebrated all the time. Choosing a one day, choosing just 1 month out of the year does not necessarily mean that is the end and the beginning of it. It just means that we want to put aside this month as a day of remembrance. You understand? And one thing about Black History Month is the fact that while so many people might kind of see it on the aspect of struggle, Black struggle, that is not exactly what it means. I mean, that is not all that it means. It's a way where we kind of trigger a way, it's more of a way we kind of remind ourselves of how far we've come as Black people. You understand? Because like they say, both Charles and the Black people, the news media and all the history, all the stories we've read so far tend to represent Black people in such a way that they look as if they actually haven't achieved or contributed anything of significance to the world. You understand? For example, growing up, honestly, I thought what my ancestors did was just getting women pregnant and having so many kids. Only to realize as I grew up that most of the great inventions, most of the great discoveries were being made by Black people, were being discovered. Most of the great achievements so far were being discovered by Black people. But the problem is that the name that was put on it wasn't a Black name. So we grew up thinking, you understand? We grew up thinking our ancestors never really achieved anything. So I would say, yes, Black History Month should be celebrated throughout the year. But choosing one day aside to celebrate it doesn't mean that is all what the celebration should be all about. It goes far beyond that. It's not just the celebration or the number of days we put into the celebration, but rather the impact it makes on us. You understand? What is this all about? You understand? We are here to stay. We've come a long way. We've achieved so much. Black people are coming together now. We are realizing that we can actually help ourselves rather than looking elsewhere. So it's just the message behind the celebration that's more important than the number of days or weeks or years put into the celebration.
Thank you so much, Charles. That is beautiful. Again, to summarize and I do this all the time. Like when I hear people say something, I like to repeat it in my own words. Otherwise, I feel I don't understand what they said. So I think what you essentially said is the fact that, yes, it is a good place to start, having a day to celebrate Black history. The other part of it is the fact that the lives that we live every day actually is perhaps should be a celebration of who we are and our successes. Having just one day, it's okay, but when we live, when we go out and we achieve, when we face challenges every day and we come back and we surmount it, we overcome it, that is a celebration of the Black spirit, of the Black person, of our heritage, as it were, which I definitely agree with. I believe in that as well. One question I do have, and any takers, any of you can take this question, is, has there been a Black Canadian in particular that has influenced you, and who is that and why? Who wants to go for it? I can pick anyone. I can totally pick anybody, but seriously, yeah, who?
I don't want to go for sports. I think okay, but there's this name that I just remember now, but somehow it escaped my memory. it's a Black woman who actually stood up to fight discrimination and racism. And then I think it's on the currency. I can't remember her name, but I know I just remember her name recently. I think I like the fact that she stood up to face racial discrimination in Canada. But I think her name is in one of our currency. Like I think Roosevelt, or I can't remember her name, but I know that name stands out a lot.
Viola Desmond?
I think Viola Desmond, a Black African Canadian. Yes.
Eno, you want to take the same question?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of them, like so many. But I'll just like to highlight someone who has done amazing recently. Casey Madhu, Minister for Justice and Solicitor General for Alberta. He's a Nigerian Canadian, and he's done great by getting into politics and now become the Minister of Justice here in Alberta, where I live. He represents everything that we want to be. It's one thing to relocate, move to another country, and then, grow in your career and choose to get into politics and be a part of, the policy making, in that country that you relocate to. So I find that very impressive, and I find that really inspiring.
Thank you very much. Let's move on. And here again, I'm back to you, Charles. I want to put a spotlight. One of the things that we've said here this evening is the fact that the life that we live, the everyday life that we live, is supposed not to be under pressure, but it's supposed to be a celebration of our own lives, of Blacks. And that's something that you've done. I don't think I have met anybody and any Black who's come in and become an intern in an organization and take over and become the owner of that organization within 2 years. Like I've not had that happen before. So let's talk a little bit about that. For me, you being able to do that again just tells me that it's possible for anybody, because we're human beings. So how did that happen? Did you have that dream? And you, as somebody, you were trying to share your story. You didn't go into details, but you had your own time of struggle. When you worked multiple jobs, you struggled. You couldn't even get into your law practice. How did you make that happen? That from an intern, you became a partner, and then boom, you became the owner of the organization. Tell me about that transition.
Right. Well, if I had that dream, I would have called it a nightmare, right? Life is very funny. Growing up in Nigeria, I did not imagine any of this, to be very honest with you. To me, I just wanted to, get done with law school. I didn't even know I had the entrepreneurial streak in me. So many people would say they own this small business, they own that other business. I did not own anything prior to this. When I joined the firm, all I wanted to do was learn as an articling student. That's what they call student lawyers, right? That's all I wanted to do. And in fact, I felt very blessed to even have the opportunity to find articles, because it's quite a crisis for especially internationally trained lawyers. When they come here, it's so difficult to transition from challenging exams into finding a place to article for obvious reasons, right? You have all the inhibitions on the book working against you, right? You did not grow up here. You do not have any strong professional network. All of the things that you need to really move up, you don't have any of those. So you literally have to start from the scratch to build a network for yourself. So I had all of that working against me. When I, came to the office, I was interviewed. In fact, my principal then, Mr. Smith, was looking for one student, and he had interviewed the student and hired her, but he had already scheduled a meeting with me. So you were like, I might as well just meet with Charles and check the box. So we met, and he decided to do something crazy, which was to take on 2 students at a time. And I focused on the right things. I focused on learning. I focused on building capacity and gathering as much experience as possible. I remember there was someone else that was, looking to take over the firm at the time. The person took me out for dinner and told me, "Oh, Charles, your job is secure, by the way. Don't worry about it, and we're gonna keep you on after the transition happened." But eventually, that transaction didn't happen, and the opportunity came around for me to buy the firm. And everything in me was against that opportunity. I felt it was like the craziest thing to do. And that speaks to one of the things that hold people back, from going from point A to point B: fear. I was very scared that I was too young. I was inexperienced. I did not have the network. I did not have the connections. I felt it was going to be the most disastrous decision ever. Fortunately for me, I had very good people around me. I had my older brothers, I had my mentors, I had people that could see 10, 15, 20 years ahead of me, people that could see farther than I could ever see. Those were the people that said, "Charles, this is a good opportunity. Um, Go for it." And then my mindset changed. I quickly realized that this is something I could do. You could imagine going from being an associate, all of a sudden you're catering to over $50,000 to $60,000 in overhead in a month. So that would be a nightmare, and I didn't want any of it. But with the support of people around me, and belief in myself too, which is very important. You have to have that belief in yourself, because at the end of the day, if everyone else falls apart, you're the one that is going to stand by yourself. So I took on that challenge, and I can tell you that it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. When I took over the firm, it was a one-man shop with just one lawyer in the firm. Now we're about 10 lawyers in the space of 2.5 years, and also looking to expand into other cities for the end of the year.
Thank you, Charles. That is definitely very impressive. I was going to ask a follow-up question, but you read my mind and you spoke about it, which is the fact that the question would have been, what is the role of your mindset in what happened, and how did you do that? But you pretty much answered that, right? So thank you very much. I'm going to come to you now, and this is a very direct question. And everything we're talking about here tonight is all about legacy. It's all about the future that we will never live in. It's all about leaving footprints in the sands of time, right? That's what we're doing. Now, Statistics Canada, there was a recent research that I came across, and I would like to quote it, so permit me to read and not be looking at us. It says, Black women and men's labor market outcomes have mostly not improved between 2001 and 2016 census, despite a few notable exceptions among women and immigrants. And I'm addressing this question to you, because I believe you are an exception amongst women, amongst ladies. And you have, of course, being an immigrant, being Black. What you've done, which is to start your own organization, and before that, your income went through the roof. I'm certain that the income you made, even before you started your own firm, you were not making that back in Nigeria. How do you think other Blacks, and particularly women, youths like you, can do exactly what you've done? Other than they need to work hard, other than they need to pray, other than they need to go out and network. How exactly can they do it?
Very good question. Thank you, Dakwa. When I saw that statistics, honestly, before you sent it, I'd never seen it before. And I'm so happy I never saw it, because maybe that would have affected my mindset to say, hey, don't have those lofty dreams, like it's not possible. But even without seeing that statistics that you sent out and that you just read, when I arrived in Canada, I was told the same thing. We just came out of recession. Do you know what it's like to be in recession? You don't know. You just came. All these things you're saying, it is not possible, right? I was told all those things. We just came out of a recession. Things are horrible. Things are bad. You see this downtown. It used to be very busy. Everybody left Calgary. You came to the wrong place. Why would you even come to Calgary? you come to Calgary, you have to just, go to the factory, like go to the Northeast and get a job in the warehouse. Like those are the things I was told. I was told that to even get a job as a business analyst, that it wasn't possible, that a lot of Black people were fired. I was told that it wasn't possible because I didn't have Canadian experience. I was told it wasn't possible because I didn't school in Canada. Like I was told that the odds were stacked against me, that I shouldn't even bother. But I just had this very strong mindset and belief that why would, I want to choose my destiny and write my story based on what someone else has experienced or based on what someone else has told me. I mean, there are people that I met that have been here for many years, donkey years, that, gave me that advice and said, you've got to just start from the bottom, go find customer service jobs, admin jobs, whatever it is that you can do to start from the bottom and grow that way. But I've always been of the notion that, whatever I set my mind to do, I will achieve it. So, as I shared earlier, I'd always wanted to come to Canada. And when I made up my mind that it was time, things just sort of worked out that way for me. So it's always been my mindset. Do I really want to, write my story based on, what the world is saying or what people say is the way it is? For example, COVID, even with COVID and everything that's happening, I still found that we're able to get a lot of success with members of our programs and our students, still getting six-figure jobs. Our business, skyrocketed during the pandemic, which is the craziest thing ever. We're able to expand into, new countries, serving new customers, revenue growing. I've always just believed that whatever you set your mind to do, you would achieve it, no matter what the statistics says and anything like that. But also you need to make sure that you're working with the trends and what's happening around you. Why are those things happening to women? Why women? Why not men? Why are women facing this? Well, maybe because, they are faced with challenges, maybe like with making their homes and, taking care of their families and not thinking about themselves and normalizing that they should also prioritize learning new skills, prioritize getting new certifications, taking courses. They should normalize these things. And those are the things that I tell and teach people, that when I came to Canada and I saw what employers were looking for, and I knew I didn't have some of those skills or certifications or courses, I went ahead to get them so that I could actually stand, beside anybody who had Canadian experience or, Canadian degree, but also be, a contemporary and say, hey, I can do this too, because I have what it takes. I have the experience, though it's foreign experience. I do have some certifications and courses that you require. I have developed my skills to meet with the global industry standards or what you require in the system. So I tell people that you want to make sure you have a very strong mindset, but also you want to also develop yourself with the trends. Like I've been telling people, like, this is the best time to pivot, right? If you want to get into the tech industry, this is the best time because of remote work. You could live here and work anywhere in the world, learn the skills that, are the 21st century skills, and the future of work is, with technology. So I teach and tell people these things, that while you're building a strong mindset, also do the work required. However, mindset is like 80% of the work and strategy is 20% of the work. So with women, I would love to tell any woman listening here that please normalize, improving yourself, develop yourself while you're also developing your family and everybody around you. Women, we're so caring. We want to take care of everybody around us, but we should also take care of ourselves by improving ourselves. Take courses, certifications, get a coach or a mentor to guide you, and prioritize taking care of yourself, which includes personal development.
Thank you so much, Thank you. I appreciate that. So you and Charles are pretty much saying the same thing. Mindset. It seems to be the recurring word that I'm hearing from all of us tonight. And, following that, a question I would like to ask you, Peter, at this point is, what would you say to that young man out there, that young Black man out there who has a lot of dreams? Again, statistics are not in favor of Blacks generally, especially men. Statistically, this is very recent. This is as far as August 2020. It says that Black men, over time, their income gets reduced. And I think one way that you have gone beyond that is you've started your own business. You started your own beverage company. So what would you say to that young man who's just starting out and who has dreams, but definitely the odds are against that person? What's your advice to that person? 2 minutes.
What I would say is this: for someone who has a dream, right? One thing I always tell myself when I get up in the morning is I won't be on this planet forever. So that already eliminates half of my fears. Like Charles says, everything that holds everybody down, it's always narrowed down to fear. So what I would say is that before we even look at the problem facing Black people, especially young Black people, we also need to look at the causes of the problems as well. Because if you study us as Black people, our problem we tend to respond to our problems at a certain age, whereas the problem is deeply rooted in religion, it's deeply rooted in our education system, it's deeply rooted in parenting, it's deeply rooted even in the media. You understand? Okay, the one problem I notice about Black people, which has always been the case, I'm not saying our challenges are caused by us or we caused it. But one thing I've noticed is that it's like everything we grew up with are not African to us. You understand? There's too much, most of the things we grew up with were imposed on us. You understand? Western religion, Western political system, Western education system. So the struggle has always been that we are not really being taught of who we are growing up. So what I will tell people, anyone who has a dream, is the only way out is that we as Black people should stop thinking that help will come from a third party or from something outside of us. So we need to look inward. Looking inward is where the solution comes from. And it comes down to, for me, the only way I've used in helping myself out is the entrepreneurship mindset. You understand? Entrepreneur is where the answer is to financial independence. There's never been a time in history, from my own research, where anyone becomes successful by getting a job. I've never seen that. Oh, he worked so jobs for many years and he become extremely successful and he was able to influence so many. Like, it's very, very rare. You understand? Because job and seeking help from some external source will impose on you limitations. So what I would say is that people, especially Black people of color, should look into entrepreneurship. Is there anything that comes natural to you? You understand? Work on it and don't give up on it. If you fail, it's okay. Failure is only going to point you in another direction. You understand? So entrepreneurship is the way to go.
Thank you so much. I definitely love that. We need to look within. We need to have a dream. We need to work for it, and we need to hold on and not give up. Thank you very much. The last thing before we open it up for question and answer, and I'll take maybe 1 or 2 questions, and then we hand it over back to Gerald. Charles, there is also a fact which is documented as well, which is the fact that 94%, of young Black men between the ages of 20 and 25, they have the dream that one day they want to have at least a bachelor's degree. But guess what? Out of that 94%, only about 60% of them actually believe they will end up being able to do it. It tells me that there is a problem with self-worth, mindsets. What do you have to say about such people, or to such people?
Right. I think you've made reference to self-worth. It's unfortunate that some of the information that we're fed with about our kind is negative. Okay. And imagine growing up believing some of this information. Imagine growing up believing that there's so far you can go because of your accent. There's so far you can achieve because of where you come from. And there's so far you can accomplish because of your last name, right? The moment you realize that, back to what Peter said, the moment you realize that a lot has to do with your self-will, a lot has to do with you shifting the way you think. Talked about, her business growing amidst the pandemic. That's what I love to hear. You know, in the last 1 year, I've hired 8 people since COVID started. You know, everything is possible. But as young people, or for young people, they must focus on the right things, right? Um, I keep saying this whenever I have the opportunity to, that once you begin to focus on creating value in whatever you do, right? You are a consultant, you own a business, you work for someone, whatever it is, you create value, you quickly realize that you stand out. And I picked that up, you know, as early as I could, that if I could actually create value, if I could actually help my clients go from point A to point B, if I can solve their problems when they come here, it's not going to matter to them that I'm originally from Nigeria. It's going to matter to them that I have an accent. It's not going to matter to them that I'm Black. In fact, the things that separate me from others will become attractive. You know, and this is one realization that has helped me a lot. If I fail in something, if my client loses, they foul. I don't blame it on my accent. I don't blame it because maybe the judge didn't understand. I tell myself, what haven't I done right? How can I get this better next time? You know, and it's like a magnet. You're adding value to people's lives. People basically want to get helped. That's it. People want someone that can help them. You know, people go to Anna because, you know, they can get service, they can get quality services from her. People take advantage of Peter's products because the products are of good quality. Basically, that's what people are looking for. Everything is secondary. You know, so as you know, for young people, there's a lot of disadvantages out there. Let's not be naive, right? There's discrimination, there's prejudice, there's all of that going on. That should even make you work harder. If others are putting in 10%, you should be putting in 110%. If others are feeling comfortable and complacent, you should not be comfortable. You should not be complacent, right? I still work 7 days a week because I'm not comfortable, because I still live on edge every day because I don't know what tomorrow brings. I don't want to disappoint my clients. I don't want to disappoint my staff. I don't want to disappoint the people that are looking up to me. That is actually a good thing that I have that fire burning in my belly every day. So if people of color, especially young people, could focus on the right thing, focus on the right value system, you quickly realize that, you know, the things that you've always wanted would come, and then they would do so naturally.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Eno, thank you for showing up. Peter, thank you for showing up. I've been checking if people have questions. I don't see any. So probably in the absence of any questions, I will hand over back to Gerald at this point. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Dapot, and thank you, Charles, Eno, and Peter. It was an amazing session, actually, and I followed every single minute of it, and very inspirational as well. And I'm sure the viewers will appreciate all the discussion that happened and all the advice and all the inspirations that you shared tonight. And thanks, Dapo, to you as well for moderating this session as a guest host from Calgary, and we really appreciate that. Just before wrapping up quickly, a couple of announcements. Tonight's session of Café New Canadians, or rather actually the series Café New Canadians, is sponsored by Destination Employment, which is a program that helps newcomers get mentorship and training opportunities and gain meaningful employment in the Canadian hotel and tourism sector. You can know more about the program on their website, destinationemployment.ca. As I mentioned, Café New Canadians is a weekly virtual chat series, so there are sessions every Thursday evening. To know more about the upcoming sessions and to sign up for those, you can connect with us on our social media channels or through our newsletter, as well as visit our website, newcanadians.tv, watch our TV shows, TV episodes on Omni Television across Canada, and follow our live streams and other stories on our YouTube channel. Thank you once again, viewers, for joining us tonight. And thank you, Dapo and Charles, Peter, and Eno for your time. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.